Hello pandas and other scrap enthusiasts, and welcome back to the shop. Today's video, something a little different, but I'm excited to share it. I'm excited to try these things out because today we are trying out your scrapping hacks. I have a handful of videos from other creators who will be credited, and they have brought forth some concepts, some ideas, some hacks to scrap faster and easier without the assistance of expensive power tools. And I've been wanting to try these out for a while, some of which you may recognize, some of which may be new, so look forward to it. I know I am. Let's try the first one. Now, the first one comes from Scrap It All, and I'll admit this is not the first time I've seen this. This one has been floating around, and I thought it was first posted by Nacho Stuff, but I can't find that one. And then Bush Dog Scrapper also did a short, but the earliest of this technique I can find seems to be from Scrap It All. It looks like it works incredibly well depending on the size of the motor you're doing. Now, I did have a look for the oldest representation of this method, and although I didn't find a machete one, I did find a video from creator Vincent from about a year ago where he used a piece of he cut a piece out of a field plow blade. I don't know exactly, I didn't quite hear what he called the source of the tool, but it looks like a very similar method, just rather than using a machete, he's using a wedge, a fan-shaped, sharpened piece of metal. So I don't think it has to be a machete. It would definitely work fine with anything, as long as it's tool steel, something hardened that can actually hold up to this kind of abuse. But got ourselves a nice solid base, a couple motors, and a brand new machete. It's a little big for exactly what we're doing, but oh, and of course some personal protective equipment, because hardened steel does have a tendency to break into little chunks and go flying. Somewhere in the middle-ish. Holy cow! That works so good! Huh. Alright. Let's try that again. Alright, it would be beneficial to have something like a leather or wood top. I'm going to try one a little bigger. I have hand selected these ones because they don't have welds running along the sides. This is an experiment. Alright, this one isn't working quite as good. Let's try a transformer. Alright, I have some conclusions. It's got some pros and cons. I think the one biggest pro is the accessibility. You just need a big dumb blade to hammer between the plates. And that's great because it's very inexpensive. Anybody can do this. The other pro is it doesn't make a mess. So when I'm using an angle grinder, I am losing a little bit of weight from the copper, but mostly just spraying a big, a bunch of dust, copper, and grinding wheels, and I'm supposed to be wearing a reciprocator so you don't breathe that stuff in. Not a problem with this technique. However, it may just be because I have little baby hands, and if so, that's on me, but this technique is exhausting on the palm and the wrist, because once you get to the depth of the blade, it's going to start teeter-tottering, and you're hitting the end here and, bashing the hand up into your palm. Or you're hitting it here, but you don't want to, like, you know, just be hammering it into the table, so you're holding it up a bit. So either way, you're hammering against your palm strength. And you can do that, but I sure wouldn't spend an entire afternoon doing that. So that's point number one. And the second is it's not going to work for every motor. See, the second type that I tried, I was really struggling to get it through, and it wasn't until I actually got through that I discovered it was because this was held together by 4 steel pins. So I was literally just shearing through 4 different pins with the blade. Look at the state of this blade now. I mean, I can sharpen it up, but it certainly didn't like that. And then the other thing is, it didn't perfectly just find its way between the sets of plates. Because sometimes it'll get halfway through and it'll grab the wrong edge of one of these things, and then it'll just like drag through that. It's not a perfect technique. It doesn't work great on every single one of these. I do think Vixon V's version is vastly superior, because the other thing about machetes is they are not the highest quality steel. They are intended to be a cheap, accessible, slash your way through some underbrush. They are soft and disposable, which is why this one was only 20 bucks. It's just the nature of the thing. So with the machete technique, I'm going to give this a B-. Accessible, but flawed. Probably a B+ or an A with the wedge blade to drive through, because then you're not going to have the leverage problem, and you're probably not going to have as much of a problem chipping through things. That said, I'll rank it an A on transformers. If you look closely, you can see different places where I ran into steel and ended up like shearing through the steel. This one, because the plates are like overlapping and interlocking, and it's just difficult to, like, it's a 50-50 whether you're on the going against or with the grain. And on this one, I ran into 8 different riveted pins. So the only real technique for these that I found so far. A on those, B- on motors. Next clip. All right, this one comes from Scrap Hound. Let's see what we have here.
I'm going to show you how I clean up my pressure relief valves off my water heaters. Get it so it digs in. Flip it out. Flip it out. You can take that spring out, put it in your metal. Copper, brass, cleaned up. Hope that helps.
Okay. Okay, that looks pretty cool. Let's give this a try. Alright, we got the vise. Now, if this actually works, this will honestly be so great, because these things are really annoying. I've been shown a couple methods, but they're all... none of them are, like, easy, so it's not unusual for me to just throw these into the dirty brass bin. So there's a couple different types of these, and I've only got the 2 on hand right now. There's the one that I'm pretty sure is the type that he was using, and then there's the longer, narrower one that doesn't actually have the, it's not pinched in like this one. So let's start with that first. And there's the tough part. Okay. Make sure it's tight. Well... Look at that. Oh man, I've been using these things. I've been using the angle grinder to chop into these things. That worked out great. Now this one, it's a little more difficult. Yeah, it's a lot deeper in there. Huh? Crazy. Okay, thanks, Scrap Hound. That one is money. What else do we have? Okay, now this one's a wire stripping method, and I've seen a number of different creative wire stripping tools. The internet and YouTube is full of them. But this one,
Small wire stripper.
There's no way. There is. We gotta try it. Now, the earliest example of this I could find came from a channel called Big Keg, and that's from 5 years ago. So, I'm sure he wasn't the first to ever do it, but it's the first I've seen. Let's try.
That should do. We're not doing the little short ones. Got my peeler, just like he did. What? Oof. No, look, I'm just slicing a piece of copper straight off. And let's try a different peeler first. Okay, I've got this style. My problem is the ends just want to ride up on the table, so I can't get a. Okay. Huh. Yeah, I won't deny that did work. Okay, but I've got one other. I also saw this. Now, I'm not super convinced this is a good idea. Absolutely not.
Okay, I may be doing this technique a disservice. So let's try it once more. The cheese grater system is obviously some absolute garbage, made up like some 5-minute crafts level quality, just made up for content and not actually useful. But this, well, that actually worked incredibly good. Yeah, no, that's some bare bright copper. Let's try the other one. Yeah, the quality of peeler you choose to use makes a huge difference. This one is definitely a little cheaper, and I like it fine, but there's just something off about the angles of the blade, and it keeps digging in and cutting, trying to slice through the copper, which is obviously not what you want. Gonna have a hard time peeling a potato with that now. But this one, it's not the type of handle, but the quality of the blade itself. And the blade on this one keeps bending. The metal's too thin. Those gripes aside, this actually works incredibly well, and I'm glad I gave it a second chance, because I asked in a community post a little while back if any of you guys had any suggestions as to hack type techniques we could use, and I'm glad I did. And I was surprised at how much this one came up. A lot of people seem to be having great success with this, and now I see why. And even with that little end bit there, just bash it by hand. Look at that. Now, I did get quite a few answers and responses on that post, so thank you for everybody who jumped in. Unfortunately, most of them actually suggested larger, more exclusive tools, which is not the spirit of what I'm going for in this little video. But one of them, which I was surprised at just how often it came up, was the suggestion to mount the jaws in the vise. I don't know why mine is loose, but apparently this is the way to do this sort of stuff. Small, medium,
This would work a lot better if I put it on the ground.
That did work pretty good. Well, there we are. 3 unconventional scrapping hacks which sidestep the need for expensive power tools. I'm not convinced these replace the power tool option, but they are a lot cleaner. They don't make big clouds of dust. You don't need to use a respirator, although you definitely still want eye protection and possibly ear protection. Now, the machete one, it's clever, but I don't think it's the best for motors, and I don't think it scales well. However, it does seem to be the best thing for small transformers. So that's a great option. Caveat on that one though, I think a machete is more of a proof of concept than the end game. So I will be looking for a appropriate piece of tool steel to adapt into that function. Now the brass relief valve one, kind of the same thing. I don't have the best screwdriver for it yet, but I'll be looking for one because I do think that is the way as far as cleaning those things quick and easy. The potato peeler situation, yes. If you're not in a position where a drill-powered or automatic wire stripper is feasible, potato peeler works really good. It works better than a knife, I think, if you get the right potato peeler. So thanks for watching and the suggestions. All of the referenced videos and their creators will be linked in the description below. Now, like and subscribe if this helped you, or share it with a friend you think it will help. I'll see you on the next one. Leave it better than you found it. Keep doing the thing.